So here we are back at our look model. So this is the fancy looking model that is actually going to be rendered in Halo. And what we're going to do now is add a very simple animation to it. One important thing to note before we start is that the Halo engine will only really look at these frames here. It won't be concerned about your model when it comes to animations. What that means is if you were to animate something, say moving this part of the scenery back and forth, as far as Halo's concerned, these 3 frames are in the same spot, so you've done no animation. So what do? You move the frames. Because you've linked them together, if you've linked them appropriately, the frames that you move will move everything that's linked to it. So you see moving the base frame moves all the other frames, moving the bottom frame moves the bottom, top frame moves the top, etc. So I'm going to reload it right here. If you've never animated with 3D Studio Max, try to follow along. I will explain it, assuming you do not know how to animate. The first thing we're going to do is look down here. This is your timeline. You're going to want to put keyframes on this timeline that tell the animation where to go, basically. So at each of these 100 frames, it's completely still right now. I want to add a frame right here, moving the frame, of course. I want to put it up here. And because I clicked auto key, it's going to automatically set that as a keyframe from 0. You can go ahead and move these along here to wherever you want. So I'm going to move it down to 50. You see now it goes all the way up to 50. Go ahead and choose some kind of simple animation for your scenery. And when you're done, click auto key again, and that will stop recording. When auto key is on, it will automatically record any of your movements to whatever frame you're currently on. And right now we have 100 frames. If you don't know, the frame rate for 3D Studio Max is about 30 frames per second. It's like 29.97 or so, which means that every 30 or so frames, 1 second has passed. You can go ahead and click play and see if I were to count to 3 here. About 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you see about the pace of your animation previewed right here. What I want to do right now, though, is change this animation so about every second, let's put this at about 1.5 seconds. I want it to go here, but I also want it to go back down. And the way I can do that is I'll just put any kind of keyframe right here using the Z-axis again. The same thing of movement. Remembering to turn on auto key. I will right click this starting point and I want the Z position, which is the one that we're moving. I'm going to copy this value, go ahead and click through the keyframes to the 3rd frame, and paste this value back in. Hit enter. So what this is going to do is that now when I hit play, it's going to go up at 1.5 seconds, go back down, and this produces a much smoother animation than trying to, if I were to put this up or down, it would just jerk back, and Halo will play it as such, so you'll get something that looks like, you get something that looks like this happening in your game. See how it jumps toward the end? So you can use this method, go back, and make sure that the beginning and end values are the same. So with that complete, we now have a nice little floating animation here. What I'm going to do next is click down here, time configuration. And I'm going to change it to 30 frames per second exactly. So I'm going to be syncing some sound with this scenery later on. So I want to really make sure that the amount of time that this animation runs syncs up with my sound. There are other ways to do that, but this is a nice, quick, and easy way. So 30 frames per second means that every 30 frames, 1 second of real time will have passed. So I'll set the length to 90, and that will give me exactly 3 seconds. So I'm going to go to frame 30. Frame 45 should be the half point, and that's where it is. So this give me exactly 3 seconds of animation.